Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review the latest Blumhouse movie, Wolfman.
Wolfman. This was our first movie in the theater of 2025.
It is, and also our first movie of 2025, or at least like new movie in 2025 is what I meant.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I know that this was one of your most anticipated. Was it your number one?
It was my number one.
It was your number
most
one.
anticipated, mostly because it's of the director. It's directed by Lee Winnell. He did Upgrade and he did The Invisible Man, and
both
I really
great movies.
loved both of those movies. Like especially Upgrade. Like I really loved that movie.
Yeah.
So I had high hopes for this one. He had success with the Universal Monster stuff before with The Invisible Man. I was hoping he would have the same with Wolfman. But before we talk about this movie, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And then
like this video.
Like the video like she said. And then leave us a comment down below. Did you see Wolfman this weekend? It is a new movie that just opened up. Let us know your thoughts. Or if you're going to see it, let us know in the comments section below. So let's get into it. What are your thoughts, initial thoughts on Wolfman?
Yeah, so this was also on my most anticipated list, but it was much further down than you had it. I don't know, like I felt like it looked, good. I felt like it looked, like it could be interesting. But I do think that your enthusiasm for it kind of rubbed off on me and kind of made me more excited for it than maybe I would have normally been excited for this type of movie.
And it was a good trailer because they didn't really show too much.
Yeah.
And I, usually especially with the Blumhouse trailers, as we saw watching this movie before, they show everything. Like they like to show the entire plot. So it was a good trailer.
But also I do like Christopher Abbott, I think is his name.
He's good.
Who played the, Wolfman. So anyway, I felt like it had good potential. And so all of that to say, it was just fine. I didn't feel like it was amazing, but I also didn't feel like it was terrible. I do feel like a lot of people are saying that this isn't a great movie. Rating it very low. I don't feel like it's bad by any means. But I
always feel like those people just haven't seen enough movies.
Yeah, or they're holding those like classics, the like classic werewolf movies. I guess they're just holding the I guess the standard is too high for that type of movie. But yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit of a snooze fest. It was. I don't know. There were things happening in it, but at the same time, it felt boring.
It had a very like slow, deliberate pace to it. I don't know. There was something weird about the pacing because it felt slow, but at the same time,
things were happening.
It also felt like things were happening way too fast.
Well,
like they were just going through stuff way too quickly, and I was losing a lot of like what I feel like the film wanted me to connect with, like the emotional connections of the family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was just losing it because they were going too fast through stuff. But at the same time, it felt slow. So it had a weird like feel as far as the pacing to it.
Yeah. One thing though that I will say, that I want to say right away is that this movie, like the sound effects were really good.
Oh yeah, terrific sound design.
The sound, I mean, it definitely added to like the atmospheric part of the movie
especially like the beginning.
Yeah,
like
there's when you're in the woods. Yeah.
Or what do they call it? The blind or something? I'm not a hunter, so I don't know all the terminology, but the deer stand.
Oh, the deer stand.
When they're up in the deer stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got lots of different sounds coming at you from all different, sides of your. Your hearing. So props to our theater, I guess, that it actually worked like it was supposed to.
The image on the actual screen did not look good at all, at least not to me. But I'd pay attention to that kind of stuff. But the sound was great. The sound was great.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like. Maybe some parts I can see what you're saying. I felt like overall, like it looked fine to me. But I will say that there were some, I guess, special effects. Like when he, spoiler alert, when he starts, transforming into a wolfman, or a werewolf. I don't know, there were just some shots where it looked a little like CGI, not so much practical, and so that was kind of a bummer. But
yeah, but I would say there was quite a bit of practical as well. I do feel like they utilize practical. But I will say, if you want to dive into that, I think that's the most controversial stuff about this movie that I'm seeing is just the actual transformation, how it's handled, what he looks like when he transforms, like the final form of the Wolfman.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? Is it something that bothered you? Because I don't think that you've watched a lot of these classic werewolf movies like American Werewolf in London, The Howling, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen the one with what's his name? Back to the Future.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf. I've seen that kind of werewolf.
I wouldn't put that in like the same class.
Category.
That's
yeah.
a little different. But.
Yeah, for me, he didn't. You know, like, I can appreciate that maybe he was kind of just, like, giving it his own flair, you know, making it look a little bit different. But to me, it almost looked more like a caveman.
Yeah, yeah.
So werewolf, I'm not so sure. Was it, like, so bad that I just, like, couldn't even stand to look at it? No, but I could definitely see. I know I've heard some complaints about him being not, like, hairy enough.
Yeah, I mean, in the classics like American Werewolf in London, they actually turn into like a full-blown like wolf creature thing that's on all fours and moving around.
Which does happen. He does get on all fours.
But in the classic, he's on 2 feet. Like the actual like original Wolfman is on 2 feet. So there's been many different interpretations. Just American Werewolf in London kind of came in and changed what we thought of as a werewolf movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean... You know, again, I feel like it was fine. It might not have been exactly what I was envisioning, but again, it didn't bother me too much. I will say, though, I did appreciate, I thought it was cool how they were showing what he was seeing, his point of view. Some
of the coolest parts of the movie, and like different and inventive parts of the movie, I would say. Is that POV stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if the point of view stuff from his perspective was like that good. You know, like it doesn't like look good. It's very like it's weird, you know. But like
very green and glowy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I guess it is kind of what you would imagine a werewolf vision to look like, you know, just like that night vision kind of thing where things glow and they're dark and stuff. And I just thought it was cool that, you know, you see him transforming. They're all confused. They don't know what's going on. But, you know, you don't just get the family's perspective of seeing him, you know, of them like losing him into this, watching him become this creature. Like you get to see where he's coming from too. Like he start like, hopefully this isn't a spoiler, but he can't like understand them anymore. He doesn't know what they're saying. Like he's, you know,
I mean, we're getting into kind of light spoiler stuff here. Like if you don't want to know anything about the movie, honestly, like you shouldn't be watching a review about it. But we're going to try to not dive into like specific plot details or anything. But I didn't mind the way he looked. I mean, I don't mind like somebody trying to put a different spin on at this point, you know, a very established genre. Like there's so many werewolf movies, so you're trying to do your own thing. And Leigh Whannell did a similar thing with The Invisible Man, like just introducing the more like science fiction elements to it, and that was very different than the original Invisible Man. So it makes sense that he would do this, but at the same time, it didn't feel like 100% like fully satisfying either. So I'm a little mixed on it. To be honest, like I'm a little mixed on the movie. I liked it. Like you said, I don't think it was a dumpster fire or anything.
Yeah.
I thought it was good, you know, for what it was. But it definitely wasn't what I envisioned that it would be, I guess. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
Do you know what you did envision? Or you just know
something
it's not?
A little bit more that just went for it a little bit more. A little bit more violence. Maybe a little bit more brutal. In nature. Like this is really it's a family story. I mean, it's a human story. It's
pretty tame, I guess.
Pretty tied to a very core family of 3. Mm-hmm. You know, you have the wife played by Julia Garner, and then you have the husband, Christopher Abbott, and their daughter. And they're going home for the weekend or to his father's home. Again, not going to get into like too much spoiler territory.
Yeah.
And then that's when he gets scratched and kind of transforms through the night. So it kind of plays into the whole family dynamic of them, and they've got past issues as well they're diving into. So I just thought it was going to be like, I guess, bigger in terms of the story, like higher body count, things like that. More of like a brutal werewolf movie where he's like attacking people left and right or something.
Yeah, well, that would have kind of been hard to do considering they're in the middle of nowhere.
True.
There aren't many
but I also
people...
knew very little about the movie. I didn't know that they were going to be in the middle of nowhere for the entire time, the entirety of the movie.
Also, though, I don't know if it's a spoiler to talk about him being scratched. I have heard that this is like a different take on it as well, because it actually tries to explain why this is happening to someone.
Yeah, and it's
and apparently that's not really been done before.
And it's not like your traditional full moon transformation werewolf. It's more of a like slow, gradual transformation over time, and it honestly like reminded me more. I feel like we thought of The Fly. Like it's very more like body horror than it is like your traditional creature feature type of movie. I feel like it takes more inspiration from David Cronenberg movies than it does like American Werewolf in London or The Howling.
Yeah. I will say, just kind of briefly talking about the other people in the movie, I just wasn't sold that they were actually a family. I had heard complaints that, Christopher Abbott and Julia, whatever her name is, I had heard that they didn't have the best chemistry, which I also felt. I just didn't really get that husband-wife chemistry between them.
Well, her character is just like very detached.
Yeah.
And that's one of my big problems with the movie, actually. She has like no emotion. Like all the stuff that's happening in this movie, and it's like she sells none of it. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a part of her character, if that's just the actress. I mean, Julia Garner was great in Ozark, so she can act, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like it was kind of a part of her character, she's like they made it very clear that she was struggling to feel like a good mom, and because she's like a workaholic type of thing. But I don't know, I just didn't necessarily buy the whole like family dynamic. Like it, I could look past it, but I feel like maybe that was some of what was missing in the movie.
Even the father-daughter like relationship, which they try really hard to establish, like that was also hard to really feel. Yeah,
I mean, I bought that one more than him and her,
sure.
But I mean, I would agree with you too. But yeah, I feel like it definitely, concludes in a nice. It's definitely wrapped up and ends
it was a good
with
ending.
a little bow on top. But yeah, overall, to me, it was just fine. Again, it wasn't anything amazing, and I definitely don't feel like it probably met your top anticipated.
It didn't. No, this is a movie though that I feel like initially out of the gate people are going to be very harsh on.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people are going to warm up to this one over time.
Yeah.
And I think that for some groups of people, it'll be looked back on fondly and appreciated for a werewolf movie that actually tried to do something different.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't fully land for people at the time. But, I enjoyed it. It's a very mild recommendation for me.
Yeah.
Like it would be hard for me to recommend people go out to the theaters and spend, a lot of money on seeing this. Maybe wait till it's on streaming or something.
I would say that if you have like a pretty good sound system at home, that it would be fine to watch at home. The only reason that I would say go to the theater to see it is because of like the sound.
That's a good point.
The sound effects and everything. It I feel like without that, it definitely would have been even less.
Yeah. And if you're a physical media collector, it's going to have a bumping Atmos track, I'm sure, on the 4K. So that's a good point, though.
It's just really cool to hear all the like creaks and animals in the woods and just a lot of layers there. So, but overall, it was fine, and see it or don't see it. I guess don't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, for sure. So. But thank you all so much for watching our review of Wolfman. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button, and also leave us a comment down below, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.